The Wagner admiral's smug sneer turned to a look of shock as the human ship's quantum cannon vaporized his fleet into scattered atoms. Captain Donald Hicks of the HSS Defiance, a grizzled veteran explorer, had ventured to the fringes of known space to investigate a strange energy signature, but he never expected to encounter a vast Wagner warfleet upon arrival. The belligerent and advanced Wagner Empire strictly controlled this region of the galaxy. Admiral Pryler immediately demanded the human vessels surrender for trespassing in their sovereign territory. Hicks had no intention of capitulating and letting his crew fall into the Wagner's clutches. While Pryler gloated, the Defiance's tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Jenna Reeves, quickly assessed their tactical options. In a stunning upset, the lone human ship unveiled its secret weapon, an unimaginably powerful quantum phase cannon capable of piercing the Wagner's defenses. Left with no alternative, Hicks gave the order to fire. Pryler watched in disbelief as the human weapon unleashed devastating blasts that utterly decimated his ships one after another. The Wagner fleet, pride of a galactic empire that disdained lesser species like humans, was reduced to drifting wreckage in a matter of moments. Victorious, the Defiance left only debris and a few stunned survivors in its wake as it continued its solitary mission. News of a lowly human ship defeating a superior Wagner armada spread like a shockwave across the stars. The Empire reeled at this blow to its prestige, while downtrodden races whispered new hope of humans becoming their liberators and protectors. Secretly, a cabal of ingenious human scientists had been developing universe-altering technologies to propel humanity to its destiny as masters of space. The quantum cannon was merely the first readying salvo in an impending galactic power struggle, with the valiant crew of the Defiance poised to lead the charge. The Wagner Admiralty, still in disbelieving stupor at the impossibility of their defeat, had no inkling of the storm of human might and fury that would soon descend upon their domains. The reverberations of the Defiance's stunning triumph over the Wagner Armada sent shockwaves rippling through the galaxy's political landscape. On distant worlds, long oppressed species looked to the stars with newfound hope, whispering of the humans who had struck a blow against their imperial masters. In the halls of power on Earth, the shadowy figures behind Project Prometheus moved their pieces on the galactic chessboard, sensing an opportunity to accelerate their grand design. But even as the crew of the Defiance basked in the glow of their victory, a new threat emerged from the heart of the Wagner Empire. General Zorgax, the Emperor's most ruthless enforcer, seethed with rage at the news of the humans' impudence. He vowed to hunt them down and drag them in chains before the imperial court. "Shall I bring you their ship as a trophy, my lord?" Zorgax asked, his voice dripping with malice. Emperor Zarkon regarded his enforcer with cold, unblinking eyes. "Bring me their heads." As Zorgax mustered his forces for the pursuit, Captain Hicks found himself navigating a treacherous web of galactic politics aboard the Defiance. Princess Ziria, the alluring leader of the Zephyrian Confederation, sought an alliance with the humans, promising aid in exchange for their support against the Wagners. "Your victory has given my people hope," Ziria said, her voice soft yet steely. "Together, we can break the chains of oppression." Hicks considered the offer carefully, weighing the potential risks and rewards. The Defiance was a formidable vessel, but even with their quantum phase cannon, they couldn't stand alone against the full might of the Wagner Empire. As he pondered his next move, a new player entered the game. Marcus Rain, an enigmatic operative dispatched by Dr. Elias Vance, made contact with the Defiance, bearing a message from the heart of Project Prometheus. "We've been watching you, Captain," Rain said, his voice smooth as silk. "Your actions have set events in motion that will shape the future of the galaxy. We have much to discuss." But even as Hicks grappled with these new alliances and challenges, the specter of General Zorgax loomed on the horizon. The Wagner Enforcer's fleet closed in on the Defiance, hounding them across the stars. In a bold strategy, Hicks led his ship into the heart of a massive asteroid field, hoping to use the treacherous terrain to evade their pursuers. As the Defiance wove through the tumbling rocks, Zorgax's ships followed in hot pursuit, their weapons slicing through the void. The Defiance returned fire, its quantum phase cannon leaving drifting husks of Wagner warships in its wake. But still, Zorgax pressed on, driven by a relentless thirst for vengeance. In the heart of the asteroid field, the two forces clashed in a titanic battle. The Defiance's crew fought with fierce dedication, their technology and human ingenuity pitted against the raw firepower of the Wagner fleet. As explosions blossomed in the black and shattered rock spun away into the void, the future of the stars hung in the balance. As the last echoes of the battle faded into the void, Captain Hicks surveyed the bridge of the Defiance. His crew, though battered, wore expressions of fierce pride. They had survived their first true test against the might of the Wagner Empire. "Sir, we're being hailed," Lieutenant Commander Reeves reported, her voice steady despite the tension lingering in the air. Hicks nodded. "On screen." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a man with piercing eyes and a confident demeanor. "Captain Hicks," he said, his voice smooth as silk. "I'm Marcus Rain. We have much to discuss." Hicks studied the newcomer warily. "Mr. Rain, I take it you're not here by coincidence." "No, indeed, Captain. I represent an organization known as Project Prometheus. We've been watching you closely." Over the next hour, Rain unveiled a story that seemed almost too fantastic to believe. A secret cabal of human scientists and visionaries, working tirelessly to propel humanity to the stars. The quantum phase cannon, Rain revealed, was just the first fruit of their labors. "There's more waiting for you," Rain said, his eyes gleaming. "We have a base hidden in the Orion Nebula. Bring the Defiance there, and we'll upgrade her with technology beyond your wildest dreams." Hicks frowned, skepticism warring with a tantalizing possibility. "And why should we trust you?" Rain's smile was enigmatic. "Because, Captain, the fate of humanity hangs in the balance. The Wagners won't stop until we're crushed beneath their boots. We need every advantage we can get." After a moment of contemplation, Hicks nodded. "Plot a course for the Orion Nebula," he ordered. As the Defiance prepared to jump, an urgent transmission crackled through the comms. Princess Ziria's face appeared on the screen, her features strained with worry. "Captain Hicks, I beg your assistance," she said, her voice tight. "A vital Zephyrian outpost is under attack by Wagner forces. Our intelligence network is housed there," Hicks finished, understanding dawning. "And if it falls—" Ziria nodded grimly. "The war could be lost before it truly begins." Hicks felt the weight of command settle heavily on his shoulders. He glanced at Rain, then back to Ziria. Two paths diverged before him, each with potentially galaxy-altering consequences. "Helm, adjust course," Hicks said finally. "We're answering that distress call." The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace into chaos. A massive Wagner battle group swarmed around the beleaguered Zephyrian outpost, their weapons carving molten furrows in its hull. "Sir," Reeves called out, her voice taut, "I'm reading a familiar energy signature. It's General Zorgax's flagship." Hicks's face hardened. "Of course it is. Tactical, prepare to deploy our fighters. We're going to give the good general a surprise he won't soon forget." As the Defiance's complement of advanced fighters streaked into the fray, Hicks turned to his executive officer. "Commander Chen, you have the bridge. I'm leading the boarding party myself." The corridors of the Zephyrian outpost were a maelstrom of blaster fire and acrid smoke. Hicks ducked behind a fallen support beam, his away team scattered but holding their own against the Wagner shock troops. "Push forward," a guttural voice bellowed from up ahead. "The humans cannot be allowed to reach the data core." Hicks's eyes narrowed. That voice could only belong to one being, Commander Krovax, Zorgax's infamous second-in-command. With a series of hand signals, Hicks coordinated his team's advance. They moved like ghosts through the chaos, their superior training and technology giving them an edge over the Wagner forces. Finally, they reached the data core. A statuesque Zephyrian woman stood amidst a group of technicians, her eyes blazing with drive as she worked feverishly at a console. "I'm Captain Hicks of the HSS Defiance," he said, approaching her. "We're here to get you out." The woman looked up, relief washing over her features. "Zara Saren," she replied, "and you're just in time, Captain. We've nearly finished the data transfer." As Zara's team completed their work, Hicks's communicator crackled to life. "Captain, Chen's voice came through, strained but triumphant. "We've dealt Zorgax's forces a serious blow. The general's flagship is crippled." Hicks allowed himself a grim smile. "Excellent work, Commander. Prepare for immediate evac. We're not sticking around to gloat." With the Zephyrian intelligence team safely aboard and the outpost's vital data secured, the Defiance leapt back into hyperspace, leaving behind a field of broken Wagner ships and shattered Imperial pride. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Hicks found himself in the ship's conference room with Princess Ziria, Zara Serene, and Marcus Rain. The air was thick with possibility and the sense that the galaxy had shifted irreversibly. "You have my deepest gratitude, Captain," Ziria said, her eyes shining. "The Zypharian Confederation stands with you against the Wagner threat." Zara stepped forward, her bearing regal despite the ordeal she had endured. "If you'll have me, Captain, I'd like to join your crew. My skills in strategy and intelligence gathering could prove invaluable in the coming conflict." Hicks nodded, sensing the pieces of a greater design falling into place. He turned to Rain, whose enigmatic smile had never wavered. "I believe we have a base to visit in the Orion Nebula," Hicks said. As the Defiance resumed its course, Hicks gazed out at the star-studded void. The conflict ahead loomed vast and unknowable, but for the first time since that fateful encounter with the Wagner fleet, he felt a spark of true hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, humans and aliens united against the darkness of oppression. The Orion Nebula beckoned, promising new wonders and terrors in equal measure. And beyond it, the future of the stars hung in the balance, waiting to be shaped by the choices they would make. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace, the swirling colors of the Orion Nebula filling the viewscreen. Captain Hicks stood on the bridge, his eyes scanning the seemingly empty expanse before them. "I'm not detecting any structures or energy signatures," Lieutenant Commander Reeves reported, her brow furrowed. Marcus Rain stepped forward, a knowing smile on his face. "Look closer, Captain. The best hidden secrets are often in plain sight." As if on cue, a section of the nebula shimmered and parted, revealing a massive asteroid pockmarked with gleaming structures. The Prometheus base. "Impressive cloaking technology," Hicks murmured. The Defiance glided into a cavernous docking bay carved into the asteroid's heart. As the ship settled onto its berth, Hicks turned to his crew. "Stay alert. We don't know what to expect here." They disembarked to find a welcoming committee led by a tall, silver-haired man with piercing blue eyes. "Captain Hicks," he said, extending his hand, "I'm Dr. Elias Vance. Welcome to Prometheus." Vance led them through a labyrinth of high-tech corridors, explaining the true nature of the project as they walked. Hicks listened, his mind turning at the implications. Decades of secret research, reverse-engineered alien tech, and now talk of an ancient precursor race that once ruled the galaxy. "The quantum phase cannon was just the beginning," Vance said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "We've discovered evidence of a power source beyond anything we've ever seen, the Continuum Nexus." They entered a vast laboratory where dozens of scientists worked at various stations. Vance introduced two key members of his team, Dr. Alara Wren, a wiry woman with wild hair and a distracted air, and Kalen Dax, a burly man with grease-stained hands and a permanent scowl. "They'll be overseeing the Defiance's upgrades," Vance explained. "With their help, we'll turn your ship into something truly extraordinary." As work on the Defiance began, Hicks sought out Zara Saren. He found the Zypharian operative poring over data files in a secluded corner of the base. "Captain," she greeted him, her eyes darting to ensure they were alone, "I have something you need to see." Saren pulled up a holographic display, revealing a string of complex coordinates. "This data we recovered, it's not just intelligence on Wagner movements, it's the location of a precursor relic." Hicks leaned in, studying the coordinates. "Where?" "The Theta Quadrant. It's remote, dangerous, and likely crawling with Wagner patrols." Before Hicks could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. Red emergency lights bathed the corridors as Vance's voice came over the comms. "We're under attack. All personnel to battle stations." Hicks raced to the command center, arriving just in time to see the tactical display light up with dozens of enemy signatures. At their head was a massive dreadnought, General Zorgax's flagship. "How did they find us?" Hicks demanded. Vance shook his head, his face grim. "It doesn't matter now. We need to hold them off long enough to evacuate." The battle raged across the asteroid field. The Defiance, even half upgraded, proved a formidable opponent, its new weapons tearing through Wagner ships. But the enemy's numbers were overwhelming. In engineering, a sudden explosion rocked the ship. Kalen Dax was thrown across the room, a metal shard impaling his side. As medics rushed to his aid, Dr. Wren's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain, the base's main reactor is critical. We can't hold out much longer." Hicks surveyed the chaos around him, his mind racing. They couldn't win this fight. Not here, not now, but maybe they could turn this defeat into an opportunity. "All hands, prepare for immediate evacuation," he ordered. "We're taking the fight to them." As the last shuttles fled the doomed Prometheus base, the Defiance leapt into hyperspace, its course set for the mysterious coordinates in the Theta Quadrant. Behind them, Zorgax's fleet gave chase, a relentless tide of destruction sweeping across the stars. In the Defiance's medical bay, Hicks stood over Kalen Dax's unconscious form. Dr. Wren approached, her usual distracted demeanor replaced by iron will. "He'll live," she reported, "but it'll be touch and go for a while." Hicks nodded, his lips pursed. "Do what you can for him. We're going to need every advantage we can get where we're going." He made his way to the bridge, where Zara Saren waited with the decoded coordinates displayed on the main screen. The Theta Quadrant loomed before them, a vast unknown filled with promise and peril. "Take us in," Hicks ordered, his eyes fixed on the starfield ahead. "Whatever's waiting for us out there, it's our best shot at turning the tide of this war." The Defiance plunged deeper into uncharted space, the echoes of battle fading behind them as they raced towards an uncertain future. The Defiance emerged from hyperspace, the vast emptiness of the Theta Quadrant stretching before them. On the bridge, Captain Hicks leaned forward, his eyes scanning the unfamiliar star patterns. "Coordinates locked," Lieutenant Commander Reeves announced. "We've arrived at the target system." A desolate rogue planet loomed ahead, its pockmarked surface a testament to ancient conflicts. As they entered orbit, the ship's sensors came alive with faint energy readings. "Captain," Zara Saren called out, her fingers dancing across her console, "I'm detecting an energy signature beneath the planet's surface. It matches the precursor data we recovered." Hicks nodded, his heart made. "Assemble the away team. We're going down there." The descent through the planet's atmosphere was rough, their shuttle buffeted by howling winds. As they touched down on the barren surface, Hicks surveyed his team. Saren, Dr. Wren, a newly recovered Kalen Dax, and a squad of Prometheus security personnel. "Stay alert," Hicks warned as they disembarked. "We don't know what we're walking into." They made their way across the scarred landscape, following the strengthening energy signature. The entrance to a vast cave system yawned before them, swallowing the meager light of the distant sun. As they ventured deeper, the walls began to pulse with an eerie bioluminescence. Strange, chittering sounds echoed through the tunnels. Suddenly, a mass of writhing tentacles burst from a crevice, lashing out at the team. "Indigenous life forms," Dr. Wren shouted, ducking beneath a clawed appendage. "Highly aggressive." The security team opened fire, their energy weapons cutting through the alien flesh. Hicks grabbed Wren's arm, pulling her to safety as Dax and Saren covered their retreat. "Keep moving," Hicks ordered. "We need to find that relic." They pressed on, fighting through waves of subterranean horrors. The tunnels widened, opening into a vast chamber. Its walls were covered in intricate glyphs that seemed to shift and change as they watched. At the center of the chamber stood a towering monolith, pulsing with scarcely controlled power. Dr. Wren's eyes widened as she scanned the structure. "Captain," she breathed, "this is it, the precursor relic. It's tapping into something called the Continuum Nexus. The energy readings are off the charts." Before they could approach, Hicks's communicator crackled to life. Commander Chen's voice came through, urgent and strained. "Captain, we've got company. A Wagner battle group just dropped out of hyperspace. General Zorgax is leading them personally." Hicks cursed under his breath. Hold them off as long as you can, Commander. We need more time. He turned to his team, his mind racing. Dax, Ren, start analyzing that relic. See if you can figure out how to activate it. Saren, help me secure this chamber. We can't let Zorgax get his hands on this technology. As they worked to fortify their position, the distant sound of weapons fire echoed through the tunnels. The Defiance was engaged in a desperate battle above, buying them precious minutes. Dr. Wren's voice cut through the tension. Captain, I think I've found a way to interface with the relic, but it's going to take time to decode the activation sequence. Hicks nodded grimly. Do what you can. We'll hold them off as long as we... His words were cut short as a massive explosion rocked the chamber. Through the settling dust, they saw a contingent of Wagner shock troops pouring in, led by the towering form of General Zorgax himself. Surrender, humans! Zorgax bellowed, his cybernetic eye glowing malevolently. That relic belongs to the Wagner Empire now. Hicks raised his weapon, his team forming a protective circle around the monolith. I don't think so, General. You want it? Come and take it. As the two forces clashed in the ancient chamber, the relic began to pulse with increasing intensity. The battle for the destiny of the universe had begun in earnest. The clash of weapons and energy blasts echoed through the ancient chamber as Hicks and his team fought desperately against Zorgax's forces. Dr. Wren worked feverishly at the monolith's control interface, her fingers flying across alien symbols. Captain, she shouted over the din, I'm close to cracking the activation sequence. Hicks ducked behind a fallen pillar, plasma bolts sizzling past his head. Keep at it, Doctor. We just need to hold them off a little longer. Suddenly, his comm crackled to life. Captain Hicks, this is Admiral Zhao of Earth Defense Command. We have a critical situation. The Zython invasion fleet has been detected on approach to Earth. We need you back immediately. Hicks felt his blood run cold. He glanced at the monolith, then at his embattled crew. The weight of command settled heavily on his shoulders. Understood, Admiral, he replied, his voice tight. We're on our way. He turned to his team. Fall back. We're aborting the mission. But Captain, Dr. Wren protested, we're so close. Earth needs us now, Hicks said firmly. That's an order, Doctor. As they retreated, Zorgax bellowed in triumph. Run, humans! The power of the ancients will be ours. Hicks gritted his teeth, firing a final volley to cover their escape. They raced through the tunnels, the chittering horrors now seeming inconsequential compared to the threat facing their homeworld. Back aboard the Defiance, Hicks barked orders as they broke orbit. Set course for Earth, maximum speed, and get me Princess Ziria. The Zephyrian ruler's face appeared on the interface, her expression grave. We've received the alert, Captain. The Zephyrian fleet stands ready to assist. Thank you, Your Highness, Hicks nodded. We'll need every ship we can muster. The journey back to Earth was tense, the crew working feverishly to repair battle damage. As they approached the outer asteroid belt, long-range sensors lit up with activity. Massive Zython force detected, Lieutenant Commander Reeves called out. They're attempting to establish a beachhead in the belt. Hicks studied the tactical display, his mind racing. We can't let them dig in. All hands battle stations. Princess Ziria, form up on our flanks. We're punching through. The void erupted in a maelstrom of weapons fire as the human Zephyrian armada engaged the Zythean vanguard. The Defiance's upgrades proved their worth, its new weapon systems tearing through enemy shields. On the bridge, Hicks called out targets, coordinating with Ziria's forces. For a moment, it seemed they might break through unscathed. Then a Zython cruiser executed a suicide run, ramming Ziria's flagship. Princess, Hicks shouted as the Zephyrian vessel listed venting atmosphere. Status report. Ziria's voice came through, strained but resolute. We're alive, Captain, but barely. Our main drive is offline. We can't continue. Hicks clenched his fist. Fall back to Zephyrian space for repairs. We'll hold the line here. As Ziria's damaged fleet limped away, the Defiance pressed on, finally breaking through the Zython lines. Earth loomed ahead, a blue jewel surrounded by the flashes of distant battle. In engineering, alarms blared. Kalen Dax's voice came over the comm. Captain, We've got a hull breach in Section 4C. Some kind of stealth craft must have latched on during the fight. Hicks's eyes widened. Intruder alert! All security teams to Section 4C. But it was too late. The bridge doors hissed open, revealing a grotesque figure. A Zithan infiltrator, its chitinous armor gleaming in the emergency lights. Before anyone could react, it lashed out with inhuman speed, incapacitating the bridge crew. Hicks found himself face to face with the Zithan agent, its mandibles clicking in anticipation. I am Kreller, it hissed, and your ship's secrets will soon belong to the Zithan Empire. The captain's hand inched towards his sidearm, but Kreller was faster. In a blur of motion, the alien disarmed him, pinning Hicks against the bulkhead. Your pitiful resistance ends now, human, Kreller gloated. Suddenly, the door slid open again. Marcus Rain burst in, leading a security team. Not today, bug, he growled, opening fire. Kreller whirled, using Hicks as a shield. The bridge erupted into chaos as human and Zithan clashed. In the melee, Rain managed to wrestle Kreller away from the captain, but paid a heavy price. The Zithan's razor-sharp claws raked across Rain's chest, leaving him collapsed in a pool of blood. With a roar of fury, Hicks tackled Kreller. They grappled fiercely, crashing into consoles and barely avoiding the gaping hole where the viewscreen had been. Finally, Hicks managed to pin the alien, the security team rushing in to restrain it. Panting heavily, Hicks staggered to Rain's side. The operative's eyes fluttered open, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Did we get him? Rain wheezed. Hicks nodded, gripping his friend's hand. We got him. Now hang on, Marcus. That's an order. As medics rushed to stabilize Rain, Hicks turned to the captured Kreller. The Zithan's compound eyes glittered with malice. You've lost, human, it chittered. Even now, our armada descends upon your world. And soon, the power of the ancients will be ours. Hicks's eyes narrowed. We'll see about that. He tapped his comm badge. Bridge to engineering. Dax, I need options. How do we stop an invasion fleet? As Dax's voice crackled through with possibilities, Hicks stared out at the looming battle. Earth's fate hung in the balance, and he had a plan to forge. The Defiance emerged from hyperspace, the rogue planet's desolate surface filling the view screen once again. Hicks stood on the bridge, his heart made. Take us down, he ordered. It's time we finished what we started. As the ship descended, Hicks briefed his crew on the mission. They would establish a forward base near the underground vault, working alongside Prometheus scientists to unlock the relic's secrets. The base took shape quickly, a cluster of prefab structures nestled among the planet's craggy terrain. Inside the main research dome, Dr. Alara Wren pored over data streams, while Commander Zara Vance, the newly recruited xenoarchaeologist, studied the intricate alien glyphs adorning a hollow projection of the vault's entrance. Weeks passed in a blur of breakthroughs and setbacks. Hicks found himself spending more time in the research dome, drawn by the palpable excitement of discovery. We've cracked it, Vance exclaimed one day, her eyes alight with triumph. The final security mechanism. We can access the inner sanctum. Hicks nodded, tapping his comm badge. All teams, prepare for vault breach. Stay alert for any nasty surprises. They ventured deep into the planet's core, past chittering horrors and pulsing bioluminescent tunnels. Finally, they stood before a massive door etched with swirling alien script. Vance's fingers danced across a shimmering control panel. With a deep groan, the door slid open, revealing a vast chamber bathed in otherworldly light. At its center stood the relic, a towering monolith of impossible geometries, emanating faint waves of energy. Hicks felt a chill run down his spine as he gazed upon it. By all that's holy, Dr. Wren whispered, we did it. Their moment of triumph was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the base, and Hicks's comm crackled to life. Captain, it was Chen, her voice tight with urgency. We're under attack. Zithan forces, led by someone calling himself Urok. They've breached the outer defenses. Hicks cursed. All personnel, battle stations, defend the vault at all costs. The chamber erupted into chaos as Zithan warriors poured in, their mandibles clicking with bloodlust. Hicks found himself back-to-back with Kalen Dax, energy weapons blazing as they fought to protect the scientists. "Get to the relic," Dax shouted over the din. "I'll hold them off." Before Hicks could protest, Dax charged into the fray, drawing the Zythan's fire. Hicks watched in horror as his friend disappeared beneath a wave of chitinous bodies. With a heavy heart, he turned to Dr. Wren and Commander Vance. "We need to activate that relic now." They raced to the monolith, dodging plasma bolts and clawed appendages. Vance's fingers flew across the alien controls while Wren called out energy readings. Suddenly, the air itself seemed to split open. A blinding light erupted from the relic, bathing the chamber in waves of cosmic energy. Hicks shielded his eyes, feeling reality warp around him. When the light faded, he saw a shimmering portal hovering in midair, offering glimpses of distant star systems. "It's a gateway," Vance breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "An intergalactic portal." Urok, the Zythan leader, bellowed in frustration. "Fall back," he ordered his troops. "We must regroup and capture this intact." As the Zythan forces retreated, Hicks surveyed the aftermath. The victory felt hollow, with the cost in lives weighing heavily upon him. Later, in the makeshift command center, Vance laid out her theory. "This gateway," she explained, gesturing to a holographic model, "it's connected to the continuum nexus Dr. Vance spoke of. We could use it to find the Arcani, the beings who uplifted humanity." Hicks frowned, considering the implications. "It's risky," he said. "We'd be jumping into the unknown." "But think of the potential," Wren countered. "Their knowledge could turn the tide of this war." After a long moment, Hicks nodded. "All right, prepare the Defiance for transit. We're going on a journey like no other." As the crew made ready for their unprecedented voyage, a cold dread settled in Hicks's gut. He couldn't shake the feeling that greater challenges lay ahead, challenges that would test humanity's tenacity to its very limits. The Defiance shuddered as it entered the shimmering gateway. Captain Hicks gripped his command chair, his fingers tightening. The view screen erupted in a kaleidoscope of impossible colors as they hurtled through the cosmic void. "Structural integrity holding," Kalen Dax reported, his voice tight. "But these energy readings are off the charts." Dr. Alara Wren's fingers danced across her console. "Adjusting our quantum alignment, we're approaching the theoretical exit point." With a final lurch, the Defiance burst into normal space. The crew blinked, adjusting to the sight before them. A vast celestial tapestry stretched as far as the eye could see, studded with technological marvels that defied comprehension. "We've arrived in the Attilian star cluster," Commander Vance announced, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's incredible." As they cautiously navigated through the star cluster, proximity alarms blared. A sleek vessel of unfamiliar design approached, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. "We're being hailed," Lieutenant Chen reported. A face appeared on the interface, humanoid, yet clearly artificial. Its features were smooth and symmetrical, with eyes that glowed with an inner light. "Greetings, travelers. I am Solkin, Prime Integrator of the Teneri. We've been expecting you." Hicks stepped forward. "I'm Captain Hicks of the Earthship Defiance. We've come seeking the Arcani." Solkin nodded. "The Arcani are aware of your arrival. They will manifest soon. But first, a warning. You stand on the precipice of a conflict beyond your understanding. The choice to proceed is yours alone." Before Hicks could respond, the ship's sensors went haywire. A blinding light filled the bridge as reality itself seemed to ripple and tear. When the light faded, a being of pure energy hovered before them. Its form shifted and pulsed, radiating an aura of ancient power. "I am Xylanthor," it intoned, its voice resonating in their minds. "We are the Arcani, shapers of galaxies and guardians of cosmic order." Xylanthor's essence swirled, projecting images of vast star systems and incomprehensible technologies. "Your species has shown promise, passing our initial trials, but a greater test awaits, one that will determine the fate of all sentient life." The energy being's form coalesced into a representation of a monstrous machine intelligence. "The Cybrex threatens to consume all in its path. We Arcani cannot directly intervene. We require corporeal agents to act on our behalf." A new figure materialized on the bridge, a towering, regal alien adorned in ornate armor. "I am Grand Admiral Takran," he announced, "commander of the Arcani Armada. We offer you a choice. Join our fight against the Cybrex or face the void alone." Hicks exchanged glances with his crew. The weight of the decision pressed down upon them all. "What exactly are we agreeing to?" Hicks asked, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Takran's eyes gleamed. "A strike against the heart of Cybrex power. We've located a major shipyard in the Halistran Nebula. With your aid, we can cripple their operations and turn the tide of this war." Dr. Wren stepped forward. "And if we refuse?" Xylanthor's form pulsed ominously. "Then you return to your realm, bereft of our protection. Your species would face the Cybrex alone, a fate few survive." Hicks took a deep breath. "It seems we have little choice. We'll join your fight, Admiral." Over the next few days, the Defiance underwent a startling transformation. Taniri engineers swarmed over the ship, integrating Arcani technology beyond human comprehension. The crew trained relentlessly, preparing for the coming battle. As they approached the Halistran Nebula, Hicks stood on the bridge of the upgraded Defiance, now barely recognizable as an Earth vessel. Around them, Takran's massive armada assembled, a dizzying array of ships from a dozen different species. "All systems online," Dax reported. "Weapons charged and ready." Hicks nodded grimly. "All hands, prepare for combat. This is what we came for." The nebula loomed ahead, its swirling gases concealing the Cybrex shipyard. As they penetrated the outer layers, the enemy forces revealed themselves, a nightmarish swarm of machine drones and automated fighters. "Evasive maneuvers!" Hicks barked as the first wave of Cybrex ships opened fire. The battle erupted in earnest, energy beams and missiles crisscrossing the void. The Defiance's new upgrades proved their worth, its shields absorbing punishment that would have vaporized the old hull. "We're nearing the command nexus," Vance reported, "but their defenses are too strong for a direct assault." Hicks's mind raced. "We'll have to go in on foot. Vance, assemble a strike team. We're going to infiltrate that station and take control from the inside." As Vance and her team prepared for the dangerous mission, Hicks turned his attention back to the raging space battle. The Arcani Armada fought valiantly, but the Cybrex seemed endless in number. "Keep them occupied," Hicks ordered. "We just need to buy Commander Vance enough time to complete her mission." The future of the cosmos now rested on a knife's edge, with humanity thrust into a conflict beyond their wildest imaginings. As the Defiance plunged deeper into the fray, Hicks couldn't shake the feeling that this battle was only the beginning of a much larger war, one that would test the very limits of human perseverance. Resilience. As the Defiance plunged deeper into the fray, the crew's focus narrowed to the task at hand. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. Lieutenant Chen's eyes widened as she processed the incoming data. "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy surge. Something's coming through." The view screen erupted in a blinding flash as space itself seemed to tear open. When the light faded, Hicks felt his blood run cold. A behemoth of impossible proportions emerged from the rift, a nightmarish fusion of metal and energy that dwarfed even the largest ships in Takran's armada. "By the stars," Dax whispered, his voice barely audible. "What is that thing?" Grand Admiral Takran's hologram flickered to life on the bridge, his face grim. "The Worldbreaker, the Cybrex's ultimate weapon. All ships, concentrate fire." The Defiance unleashed a barrage from its newly upgraded Arcani cannons, joining the concentrated assault from Takran's forces. Energy beams lanced across space, impacting the Worldbreaker in a dazzling light show. But the monster ship's shields held firm, the attacks seeming to dissipate harmlessly against its hull. "No effect," Chen reported, her fingers flying across the tactical display. "Their defenses are beyond anything we've encountered." Hicks gritted his teeth as the Worldbreaker returned fire, its weapons carving swaths of destruction through the Arcani fleet. "Evasive maneuvers! We need to regroup and—" His orders were cut short as a transmission from Takran's flagship cut through the chaos. "All ships, fall back to defensive positions. We're activating the Singularity Protocol." As the Defiance retreated, Hicks watched in awe as two massive Arcani dreadnoughts broke formation. Their sleek forms began to shimmer and distort, the very fabric of reality warping around them. "They're merging," Dr. Wren breathed, her eyes fixed on the sensor readouts. "The energy readings are off the charts." The transformed Arcani ship streaked towards the Worldbreaker, now a pulsing orb of pure gravitational force. Hicks realized with growing horror that this was a suicide run, a last-ditch effort to neutralize the Cybrex threat. "We can't let them sacrifice themselves," Hicks declared. "Chen, lock on with tractor beams. We're going to give them the push they need." The Defiance's engines strained as it maneuvered into position, locking onto the Arcani ships with pinpoint precision. With a surge of power, the tractor beams engaged, altering the trajectory of the living weapons. Time seemed to slow as the Singularity warhead impacted the Worldbreaker. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then reality itself fractured. A maelstrom of twisted space-time erupted, engulfing the Cybrex dreadnought in its voracious maw. One by one, nearby enemy ships were drawn into the vortex, unable to escape its pull. As the dust settled and the vortex stabilized, a cheer went up across the comms. The Worldbreaker hung suspended in the heart of the anomaly, trapped but not destroyed. Hicks allowed himself a moment of relief before turning to his science officer. "Dr. Wren, what are we looking at?" Wren's brow furrowed as she studied the readings. It's a dimensional rift, Captain. The Singularity's creating a gateway to somewhere else, somewhere outside our universe." Before Hicks could respond, Takran's hologram reappeared. "We must seal this breach immediately. The risk is too great." "Wait," Vance interjected, her eyes alight with the fire of discovery. "This could be our chance to learn about the Cybrex's true origins. We need to send a probe through." A heated debate erupted, but in the end, Vance's argument won out. A small scout ship was prepared, with Dr. Wren volunteering to lead the expedition. As the scout vanished into the swirling vortex, an uneasy silence fell over the bridge. Minutes stretched into an eternity until, finally, a garbled transmission broke through. "Coming back through, you won't believe..." Dr. Wren's voice was tight with awe-inspiring panic. "It's not just a machine. Oh God, it's seen us." The scout ship burst from the rift, trailing tendrils of otherworldly energy. On its heels came something that defied description, a writhing mass of impossible geometries, an entropic force that seemed to devour the very fabric of space itself. "All ships, evacuate immediately," Takran's voice boomed across all channels. "The Omega Cybrex is coming." As the Defiance's engines roared to life, Hicks stared at the view screen in growing horror. The true nature of their enemy was revealed, and he realized that the war they'd been fighting was merely the opening skirmish in a conflict beyond human comprehension. Comprehension? The Omega Cybrex emerged from the rift, a writhing mass of impossible geometries that seemed to consume light itself. Its presence warped the very fabric of space-time, sending ripples of distortion across the battlefield. "Evasive maneuvers!" Hicks barked, his fist clenched as he gripped the command chair. "All ships, fall back!" The Defiance's engines roared to life, straining against the pull of the cosmic horror that pursued them. Around them, the remnants of Takran's armada scattered, desperate to escape the encroaching tendrils of entropic force. Grand Admiral Takran's hologram flickered to life on the bridge, his face etched with stubborn persistence. "We cannot allow the Cybrex access to this gateway. The consequences would be unthinkable." "What do you propose?" Hicks asked, his eyes darting between the tactical display and the horrifying spectacle outside. "We must collapse the Singularity," Takran replied. "Seal the breach forever." Dr. Wren's eyes widened. But the energy required, it would be catastrophic. Takran nodded solemnly. "Indeed, we've prepared an antimatter payload. It must be detonated at the heart of the Singularity." Hicks felt the weight of the galaxy pressing down on his shoulders. "We'll do it," he said, his voice steady despite the fear coursing through him. "No," Commander Vance interjected, stepping forward. "I'll lead the mission. We'll need our best pilot for this." Hicks opened his mouth to protest, but the look in Vance's eyes silenced him. He knew there would be no changing her mind. "Assemble your team," he said softly. "And Zara, good luck." The next few minutes were a blur of activity as Vance gathered her skeleton crew, Dr. Wren, Lieutenant Dalton, and Ensign Nakamura. The antimatter payload was loaded, its volatile energy almost unchecked. As the Defiance broke away from the retreating fleet, Hicks watched from the auxiliary bridge, his heart heavy. The ship plunged towards the singularity, dodging blasts of entropic energy from the pursuing Cybrex. "We're hit!" Dalton's voice crackled over the comms. "Port engine's gone!" Vance's reply was calm, belying the danger they faced. "Reroute power. We're not done yet." The Defiance limped onwards, trailing debris and venting atmosphere. As they neared the event horizon, Vance's voice came through one last time. "It's been an honor serving with you all, for Earth, for the future." The antimatter payload detached, its trajectory true. Vance remained behind, ensuring its course. In a blinding flash, the charge detonated. The singularity ruptured, unleashing a cataclysm of unimaginable proportions. Space-time itself seemed to tear apart as shock waves rippled outward. The Cybrex worldbreaker, caught in the maelstrom, was crushed into oblivion. On the fringe of the nebula, the surviving ships of the Armada watched in awe and horror as the gateway collapsed, sealing shut with a final, silent implosion. Hicks stared at the empty space where the Defiance had been, his mind numb with grief and shock. The cost had been unthinkable, but the Cybrex threat was contained. For now. Grand Admiral Takran's hologram reappeared, his expression solemn. "Captain Hicks, we owe you and your crew a debt that can never be repaid, but I fear our work is just the beginning." "What do you mean?" Hicks asked, his voice hoarse. "The Omega Cybrex is a multiversal threat," Takran explained. "What you faced today was merely one tendril of a greater whole. We need guardians, sentinels, to stand against its incursions wherever they may manifest." Hicks looked around at his battered crew, seeing the same mix of exhaustion and commitment in their eyes that he felt in his own heart. "We'll do it," he said, "for Zara, for everyone we've lost." Takran nodded gravely. "Then let us prepare. The next breach point awaits, and with it, a chance to rally new allies to our cause." As the remnants of the fleet set course for their next destination, Hicks gazed out at the stars. The universe suddenly seemed vaster and more dangerous than ever before. But humanity had proven its worth, and they would not back down from the challenges that lay ahead. The Defiance may have been lost, but its spirit lived on in those who remained. They were sentinels now, the first line of defense against a threat beyond imagination, and they would not falter.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.